Hi everyone, welcome to the online edition of Living Environment. This Living Environment edition is officially new and improved. All right, is it really better, Miss Daly? Can you prove that my Living Environment class will be better? I'm gonna try. Okay, so let's get started here. There are only some things that are better in twos. One example would be my cats, which are really remarkable pair. However, the whole two video thing, it's a lot to take in. It's a little too much. And so from now on, in Living Environment, instead of having two ed puzzles, you'll only have one. Go ahead, cheer, clap, yeah. Woo! Okay, next. There are too many documents. There are just so many documents. I'm starting to go totally crazy looking at all of these documents, and you probably are too, and that's fine because we're putting an end to it. All right? In our old class, we had exit tickets every stinking day. And while I do love your exit tickets, I love your feedback. Jesus told me to be happier in the videos, so I'm trying to be very happy for you today, Jesus. We love your feedback. A lot of people said this is taking me more than an hour, so we're gonna cut out exit tickets on Mondays. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays. You'll only have exit tickets on Friday, so you'll have one today. Let me know how you feel about the changes. Tell me if it's good or bad or whatever you want. And I'm excited. I love getting your feedback, so I still want to get those, but let's just do it once a week instead. All right, good changes. I hope so. I hope you guys like them. I hope it makes your life a little bit easier. Let's get started talking about biomolecules. I wanted to show you guys kind of how I put together my lunch. Because it has all my biomolecules in it, and I wanted to talk about sort of where do they even come from, and how what's gonna happen once they're in my body. I'm gonna make a salad. Lettuce, obviously. I'm gonna start with some lettuce. Ta-da! Curious what you guys think, which biomolecule is in lettuce. I can think of two. One hint for you would be that this is a plant, right? So when it's growing, it's doing photosynthesis. So if you can remember what photosynthesis makes, you can probably figure out which biomolecule is in here. Some tomatoes. I like these little cherry tomatoes because they're really sweet. And again, these are plants, so they also have a couple of biomolecules in them. Check them out. See, again, maybe you can guess sort of what kind of biomolecules I might have in my tomatoes. I also have some sunflower seeds. Woo! Okay. Sunflower seeds, yum. Also from plants, but these guys do a different job, right, than leaves or fruit. So these have a different kind of biomolecule in them. Give you some hints. So my seeds, if I'm a plant, I'm making seeds, and the seeds in the fall are gonna drop off my plant, and they're gonna go underground, and they're gonna stay there for a really long time, for the whole winter. And then in the spring, a plant is gonna start growing from them. So you might think about which biomolecule is gonna be able to keep all that energy together for a really long time. I got this habit from my fiance, who does this all the time, which I used to think was so weird, but it's actually really delicious. I'm gonna put chicken nuggets in my salad. Chicken nuggets made of chicken. I like to tear them up so they're little bite-sized chicken nuggets. Think about what biomolecule you would find in some chicken nuggets. Last thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put a little dressing on my salad. So I'm gonna put some of that on my salad. Let's see. Cool. All right, my salad is complete. Last question about my salad. If my whole salad is the whole thing all together, what are all the parts called? All right, so salad's done. I've been eating it while I was finishing up our presentation. So let's go through each of our biomolecules and do like a little bit of a review on what these are. Let's start with carbohydrates. I'm a runner, so this is like my favorite. I love me some carbohydrates. Let's get started. So what's the monomer of a carbohydrate? If you came up with a glucose or a simple sugar, then you got this, you know. Carbohydrates are made of sugars, right? So this is, they're actually pretty simple molecules. They typically look like this, and each one of these is a sugar. So for example, here's a sugar. This is one, this is one, this is one. Each of these things are able to be broken down, digested, and then our cells use them. So what do we use them for? Pretty much they're short-term energy for cell respiration. So when you think about carbohydrates, this could fall into a bunch of different topics that we've covered throughout the year, and I want us to keep thinking about those topics. So when you are thinking about things like photosynthesis or cell respiration, all of those things have to do with carbohydrates. We use them either to store glucose or we use them to actually make the energy from the glucose. Okay, so what am I talking about when I say photosynthesis? I literally mean that plants are making carbohydrates every time that they do photosynthesis. Sometimes it's pure, like fructose, which is like the sugar that you actually get from like a fruit. Sometimes it's cellulose, right? What like the plants like leaves and things are made out of. All different kinds of carbohydrates that are basically just made up of sugar. So when I was making my salad and I asked you what kind of molecule would I get from my lettuce plants, next up we have fats or lipids. So these are two names for the same basic thing. If you can remember, fats or lipids have two monomers. They're made up actually of two pieces. So go ahead, type in what do you think, or actually let's multiple choice it. Choose what two things that you think fats and lipids are made out of. All right, y'all. If you said glycerols and fatty acids, then you got this. If you didn't, then just, say it a few times to yourself right now. Glycerols, fatty acids, glycerols, fatty acids. And these come together in sort of a funny arrangement. They pretty much look like this. So the head of the fatty acid, or the head of the lipid is up here. This is our glycerol. This is like kind of the backbone thing that keeps them all together. And then down here, I have my two fatty acids. So this is super, super handy. This is like really cool that fats are made like this, because it means that they can actually like block off water. So the head, or the glycerol, is polar, we call it. Pretty much for our sake, polar just means that it is the same as water, so they can mix together. Now the fatty acids in the middle, they are nonpolar, and we call it hydrophobic. You might have heard that word phobic before. It means like fear, or like, if you're like claustrophobic, you're afraid of being in a small space. These guys are hydrophobic. They hate water. You might say like my cat is hydrophobic. He does not like water. Same deal. So what happens is all of the fatty acids crowd together, blocking out any water from this area. And then the glycerols all line up in this like nice, neat, organized way, and they stay where the water is, and the fatty acids stay in between, which is awesome. It's so handy because we can use them as like a shell. So when I think about the function of fatty acid, of fats and lipids, one, it's definitely to store long-term energy, but also it works as a cell membrane. It's so perfect. Think about it. You can keep all of the cytoplasm inside, and then you have this like perfect shell around the outside that keeps other things out, keeps out other stuff. Fats are so handy. They do so many cool things, and they're great for maintaining cell structure in your body and also storing long-term energy. So I did talk about one of the foods in my salad that stored energy for a long time over winter, right? It grew in the fall, and then over winter stayed in the ground, and then it started to release that energy after a really long time. If you can remember which food that was, go ahead and answer that question. So when I talk about fats, when I talk about lipids, if you're trying to remember like what topics does this have to do with, you should be thinking about energy. You should be thinking about cell structures, proteins. They are so important, and they are like everything in your body. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just talk about the monomer. So what are proteins made of? What are all the little pieces? What are all the little building blocks that go together to create a protein? If you said amino acids, then like ding, 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 you win. Awesome, good job. Proteins are made of amino acids. Now, you might remember this thing that we saw a few times, right? This is my long chain of amino acids, and then it folds up on itself to create a protein. In this case, it's hemoglobin. There are so many proteins in your bodies. They literally make up almost all of our body functions, like literally all of them. I'm just going to give you some examples here. These are the proteins that actually cause your muscles to contract and move. Some things are hormones. Proteins can be hormones. In this case, we have insulin. Proteins can protect your body. They can create antibodies, which help keep you from getting sick. This one is called immunoglobulin. So when you think about proteins, you should be thinking about genetics. That's right. Remember, we were taking our DNA, turning it into RNA, turning it into an amino acid chain, aka protein. So you should be thinking about genetics. You should be thinking about enzymes, all those digestion enzymes, those restriction enzymes, all of them. And you should be thinking about gene expression, right? That's that process of transcription, translation, and protein folding. All right, that brings me to my very last one. We have nucleic acids. This should be old hat. You should have this down. Nucleic acids are the DNA and the RNA in our bodies that code for everything. So what makes up DNA and RNA? These are the nucleotides. You might also have said nitrogenous bases. You might have said base pairs. Either way, it's that A, C, T, G, and U. Also U, because RNA is also a nucleic acid. What is the function of all of this stuff? It's the genetic code for all living things. So in my salad, when I was eating all of that delicious food, all of those things used to be alive, right? Plant, lettuce, it was alive. Tomato, plant, it was alive. Carrots, plant, it was alive. Seeds, plant, it was alive. Chicken, animal, it was alive. All of those things, I'm really basically eating cells of those materials. If I'm eating cells, I'm eating nuclei. If I'm eating nuclei, you better believe I'm eating nucleic acids. Let's just look at what that looks like. Literally like this. Hopefully you're not eating humans in your salad. Hopefully this is a chicken or I don't know, a piece of lettuce. But literally it's the cells from that organism that I'm eating. And therefore I'm obviously going to get my DNA from that. Not my DNA, right? I'm not eating a tomato and turning into a tomato, but my body is breaking down the tomato DNA into the little pieces, just like a Lego, right? Your body is going to break down the tomato DNA, build it back together to make your own DNA. So awesome. I did want to just kind of bring all of these pieces together. So if I'm doing genetic expression, if I'm taking my DNA, which biomolecule makes up my DNA and RNA? nucleic acids, right? Then I do my translation where the ribosome puts my amino acid chain together, right? That's when we use this codon chart, all of these things. These are my amino acids. They're putting that all together and it's folding up to become a protein. So there's my proteins, there's my nucleic acids, and all of this gene expression takes energy. It takes energy for us to be able to build the things in our cells that our body needs, which is why those carbohydrates and lipids are so important. So you need them all. You need your nucleic acids, you need your proteins, you need your carbohydrates, you need your lipids. They're all connected. So y'all, this has been a long video. I hear you. I feel it. But it's just one, so hopefully you can like check this off. And your Google Classroom assignment today is really just to check out that big chart that we made all together with all the information and explain to me what would happen if I didn't have those things in my diet. What would happen if my body had no nucleic acids? What would happen if my body had no proteins? What would happen if my body had no lipids? And then finally, what would happen if I had no carbohydrates? I miss you guys a lot. I hope everything is good at home. Let us know if you need anything. And go ahead, check out that next assignment. You're already done. You're like halfway done for the day. Cool. Awesome. Good job.